Welcome to Garden Crafts, where ordinary plastic bottles find new life as cheerful creatures, whimsical planners, and tiny characters that bring joy to every corner of your outdoor space. In today's heartwarming collection, we'll take you through 26 of the most adorable, creative, and practical DIY garden animal ideas, all made from recycled plastic bottles you already have at home. Every project is designed with charm and simplicity in mind. Perfect for small yards, patios, balconies, or any little green space in need of life and laughter. Whether the pink pig parade or a bottle bunny nestled in the herbs, these ideas aren't just for decorating. They're for storytelling. If you enjoy meaningful crafts, gentle inspiration, and real-life garden magic, don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, and share your favorite creature in the comments below. Your support helps keep our tiny, recycled world blooming. Now let's begin and turn trash into treasure, one bottle at a time. There's a certain kind of charm that floats on the summer breeze, soft, colorful, and unexpected. Under the shade of an old wooden pergola, rows of humble plastic bottles have been reborn as delicate hanging baskets. Their shapes are simple, familiar, the same ones you might find tossed away after a gathering. But here, they dangle proudly, transformed by patient hands and a dash of color. Each bottle cradles its own bouquet. Petunias in lavender and crimson, marigolds glowing like tiny suns. The edges have been softened, the sides trimmed and shaped with care, and drainage holes poked gently into their base. Jute rope, tied through melted holes or looped around the necks, suspends them like a chandelier of life. Some sway gently in the breeze, kissed by the afternoon sun, their tassels fluttering like garden bells. It's not just decoration. It's a rhythm, a slow, peaceful way to reclaim what's often discarded. To stop and look at a soda bottle not with indifference, but curiosity. Could it carry something more? This garden asks. And the answer, it seems, is yes. Here, beneath the pergola, the bottles don't just hold soil. They hold proof. That color can come from waste. That elegance doesn't need a high price. That with just rope, scissors, and love, a forgotten object can become the floating heartbeat of a backyard sanctuary. If you listen closely, you'll hear the wind rustle through the petals, and maybe, just maybe, the faintest whisper from the bottle. Thank you. Just beneath the zinnias, where the soil stays warm and soft, a family of little guardians rests, quiet, curious, and handmade. Their backs are a burst of playful color, a mosaic of cut plastic fringes turned to mimic soft woodland spines. You wouldn't expect hedgehogs in a flower bed, let alone ones born from used water bottles. But here they are, watching, peeking, smiling from beneath the blossoms. Each one began its life discarded, tossed into a bin, or left beside a sink. And yet, with a gentle wash and a bit of patience, they were given eyes and a new face. Ears curled upward like fallen leaves, and those spiky backs, cut from thin strips of other bottles, curled with heat, then glued in place with quiet care. They sit in the shade now, hidden just enough to make a passing child pause and point. Look, the child might say, a little one's hiding. And in that moment, the garden becomes more than just blooms. It becomes a place of surprise, a tiny storybook scene whispered between roots and rocks. These hedgehogs don't water the flowers. They don't grow anything, but they protect something gentle, the sense of wonder in small things. They remind us that creativity isn't loud or complicated. It's quiet, often smiling, and sometimes prickly in the loveliest way. So next time you finish a bottle, hold it for a moment longer. See if you can imagine a nose, 2 ears, and a curved little back. Maybe, just maybe, your garden needs a new friend. Nestled in a patch of marigolds, where the garden hums with warmth, a cheerful flock has gathered. Not your average chickens, no feathers or clucking here. Just painted wings and bright red combs, brought to life from old soda bottles and a pinch of joy. Each one was once a clear, crinkled shell, forgotten, maybe, in a recycling bin. But now, with some white paint, a dash of red and hand-drawn smiles, they've been transformed into garden mascots. Their bellies are wide open to the sky, and from them burst tufts of flowers, golden zinnias, trailing petunias, shy white alyssum. It's as if the blooms themselves hatch from within. The charm isn't just in their whimsy. It's in the honesty, the soft brush strokes, the tiny imperfections, the way each hen sits just slightly different from the next. One leans into a daisy. Another seems to glance skyward. They live quietly among the flowers, adding humor and heart to the rows of green. Children laugh when they find them. Grown-ups smile too, maybe remembering a craft table or a childhood corner where imagination roamed free. These chickens don't lay eggs. They grow petals. They don't crow, they bloom. So if your hands find an empty bottle today, think of these little hens. Let it sit in your palm for a while. What could it become? A rooster with sunflowers for feathers? A tiny coop of begonias? The possibilities nest quietly, waiting, and when you place your first chicken in its flowery bed, you'll feel it, that odd, beautiful magic of making something gentle from what was once thrown away. There's something meditative about repetition, rows upon rows, all alike, yet each quietly blooming with its own rhythm. Along a backyard wall, green bottles stretch skyward, their necks angle with purpose, their bellies holding not liquid, but life. Herbs lean out, petunias sway. Basil glistens with morning dew. Each bottle, once emptied and forgotten, is now part of a vertical chorus. A bamboo frame or wooden slats hold them steady, tied gently with reused wire or string. Their tops have been carefully sliced, edges smooth, a cradle for soil and seeds. Over time, the plastic darkens under the sun, but the plants thrive, spilling like paint down a green canvas. This is gardening made simple, but not small. It speaks to ingenuity, to the quiet beauty of tight spaces filled with vertical color. For a tiny patio, for a blank fence wall, this is not just a decoration. It's a living wall of recovery, of second chances, of herbs for your dinner and blooms for your soul. You don't need expensive frames or irrigation, just bottles, clean and humble, a drill or hot nail to make drainage, and something living to tuck inside. The wall grows slowly but faithfully. A child might water it with a tiny tin can. A visitor might pause, amazed at the neat rhythm of color against green. This garden doesn't ask for applause. It just climbs quietly, growing beauty from what once cluttered the world. A wall like this doesn't just hold plants. It holds proof that sustainability can be lovely, joyful, and unexpectedly poetic. They stand proudly beneath the afternoon sun, graceful, slender, and undeniably pink. Their curved necks tilt slightly, as if mid-conversation, while their long bottle bodies reflect a shimmer of whimsy. Along the garden path, a parade of flamingos begins, not of feathers, but of faded plastic made lovely once again. You'd recognize the shape, if you look close enough. Soda bottles, their curves still intact, now painted in layers of fuchsia and blush. A careful hand has shaped their necks from wire. A patient touch has drawn their faces. Black-tipped beaks curve downward. Painted eyes seem to wink at passing butterflies. These are not the stiff plastic lawn ornaments from stores. No, these flamingos are hand-built, imperfect, and full of character. Some lean forward as if ready to dance. Others balance gently in the wind. One is a bit crooked. Its paint chipped slightly from weather, but that's what makes it perfect. They guard the marigolds, keep company with the cosmos, and brighten the path like tropical sentinels. There's a soft humor in their presence, a playful defiance of formality. They don't ask to blend in. They ask to make you smile. And behind each bird is a moment of someone cutting carefully along a bottle ridge, of a child helping paint the wings, of a pause to tie the feet to a rod before pushing it gently into the soil. It's not just about recycling. It's about bringing color where it wasn't expected. A little joy where plastic once meant waste. In a world of rules and right angles, these flamingos twirl. They don't need to be perfect. They just need to be pink, proud, and a little bit silly. At the quiet edge of the garden, where the marigolds lean toward the light, and the basil spills over its pot, an old owl watches. His eyes are wide and round, twin yellow suns framed by bottle caps. His feathers shimmer faintly, not from nature's hand, but from strips of plastic, trimmed, curled, and layered with care. He began as trash, a bottle without a name, clear, crinkled, and destined for the bin. But someone paused, held it in their hands, and thought, "You look like a watcher, a keeper, a wise thing." And so he became. His wings are cut from more bottles, feathered with scissors and fixed with glue. A beak made from a folded spoon or cap juts proudly from his face, and two painted tufts crown his brow. No one owl is the same. Some wear brighter colors. Some lean slightly, as if nodding at your footsteps. He doesn't hoot. He doesn't fly, but he sees everything. The children dancing barefoot near the sprinkler, the bee resting on a daisy, the hand that gently pushes soil around seedling. He sees all that blooms, all that fades, and keeps silent vigil over it all. There's a certain reverence he brings, not grand or showy, but steady, the way old trees do, or elders in rocking chairs. He reminds you to slow down, to notice. If you craft your own, don't rush. Let the eyes speak to you. Let the feathers find their rhythm. And when you place him among your plants, listen. He might not speak, but in his silence he says, "This place matters." Among the blooms, where tulips stretch toward the sky and snapdragons sway gently in the breeze, two soft-eyed bunnies sit quietly, not of fur and breath, but of painted jugs and homemade joy. Their pink bodies are warm from the sun, and their cardboard ears catch the morning light like petals. They began their journey as nothing special. Bottles once filled with milk or soap, discarded and dulled, but with a few strokes of white paint for a nose, 2 dots for eyes, and a small curved line for smile, they transformed. Whiskers were drawn in with playful hands, and daisy crowns were placed gently atop their heads. One bunny sits close to the lavender. Another rests beneath the shadows of the marigolds. They aren't real, of course, but they carry something real. The feeling of springtime magic, the kind that bubbles up from the earth in laughter. Children stop to wave at them. Adults chuckle. remembering when art didn't have to be perfect to be precious. Sometimes a breeze nudges their ears, or a petal falls onto their painted heads. And in those tiny moments, they seem almost alive. Guardians of the garden, keepers of cheer. Making one is simple. Find a clean bottle. Sketch a gentle face. Cut open the belly if you'd like it to hold flowers. Let your hands remember the joy of crafting without pressure, just with play. These bunnies don't nibble the plants. They nourish imagination. They don't hop. They stay right where they are, reminding us that a soft gaze and a painted grin can bring more warmth than the fanciest decor. Sometimes, the most comforting presence in a garden is the one smiling silently from the soil. At the edge of the patio, where the light falls in wide golden strips and the scent of basil drifts lazily through the air, two frogs grin as if they know a secret. They don't croak or leap. They simply stand, wide-eyed, bottle-bodied, and charmingly still at the foot of a living wall that blossoms like a mural. Their bodies were once thick green bottles, the kind that once fizzed with soda and celebration. Now they've been trimmed and painted, fitted with little legs and arms, their feet resting in pebbles, their hands gripping signs that say welcome or smile. Their expressions are pure delight, eyes round and playful, mouths curling like laughter caught in plastic. Behind them rises a wall of color and care. Green bottles, lined in perfect rows, hold pockets of soil and trailing petals. Blues and reds spill out. Yellow blossoms tilt toward the light. It's not just a display. It's a vertical garden, breathing life into recycled shapes. The frogs do not speak, but somehow they say so much. This place is joyful. This garden was made with love. Come closer, there's magic here. They're more than mascots. They're mood setters. Tiny comedians with flair for floral backdrops. Their presence makes a vertical wall feel less structured, more alive, as if the flowers themselves decided to host a garden party and invited their funniest friends. Creating them is as simple as it is healing. Cut a bottle, add eyes, paint with colors that make you smile. Place them where guests might enter, or where plants need a companion. Let your frog smile. Let them stay. Let them remind you that sometimes the most meaningful part of a garden isn't what grows, but what welcomes. In the soft shade of an umbrella, where white daisies stretch toward the sky and garden stones stay cool beneath bare feet, two unexpected guests waddle into view. Their coats are crisp black and white, their feet a proud flash of orange, and their eyes hold the glint of mischief. Penguins in a garden, not from the snow, but from the recycling bin. Their round bodies are crafted from soda bottles, carefully painted in tuxedo fashion. The contrast of black and white is striking, but it's the details that catch your breath. A little bottle cap, perched like a top hat, orange feet trimmed from plastic scraps, tiny wings shaped with care. They stand on low wooden boards, maybe from a leftover pallet, not quite moving, but as if they just finished a tiny parade and paused to pose. Behind them, daisies bloom. To the side, rosemary sways gently. The sun filters through the leaves above, casting soft dapples of light over their plastic plumage. No one expects penguins in a backyard. That's the magic. They turn an ordinary garden corner into a moment of delight, a place where creativity and humor meet with quiet brilliance. They're not loud. They're not flashy. They're just right. Making them is easier than it looks. A bottle, a brush, a pair of patient hands. And suddenly, the garden has new inhabitants, dignified and droll, cheerful and cool. They don't belong here, not really, but that's what makes them perfect, because sometimes beauty is in surprise, in the joy of seeing something cold and far away brought warmly home by the power of imagination. And in this little parade, the penguins march not on ice, but on joy, tucked beneath the oregano, where the stems brush against the breeze and the scent of basil hangs like a lullaby. Something delightful is happening. Tiny blue creatures with oversized ears and silly smiles are having a feast. A mouse party, complete with plastic cheese and plastic joy. Each mouse was once a bottle, small and overlooked, tossed aside like so many others. But now, they've been painted a cheerful blue, given round pink ears cut from recycled scraps, and buck teeth that make even the time giggle. In their tiny paws, they clutch bright yellow slices of Swiss cheese, flat, glossy, and full of whimsy. They aren't trying to hide. Quite the opposite. One perches proudly on a smooth stone. Another leans against a terracotta pot. They've made themselves at home among the herbs, where green spills like watercolor and bees hum drowsily nearby. Visitors pause. Children crouch. "Look," someone whispers, pointing to the one beside the rosemary. He's grinning. And it's true. There's something infectious in their expression, something honest and ridiculous and wonderful. Crafting them takes almost nothing. Just a clean bottle, a little paint, a scrap of something round for ears. Imagination will do the rest. Set them loose in the herbs and watch how your garden softens, how it shifts from tidy and trim to storybook and surprising. These mice won't nibble your greens. They'll nibble your heart instead, with charm, with nostalgia, with a reminder that gardens are meant not just to grow, but to smile. Across the emerald grass, in a line as cheerful as a birthday song, march a group of smiling piggies. Their round pink bellies glisten in the sun, their painted eyes wide with mischief, and each perky ear seems to twitch in joy. Behind them, a gentle breeze sways a curtain of bottle planters, bright purple flowers spilling from their mouths like laughter. These piglets once held dish soap or cola. Now, they hold attention and wonder, painted in the softest shade of bubblegum. Their snouts are glued-on caps, their tails twisted wire. No two are the same. One winks, one grins with open mouth. One wears a crooked smile like it knows something you don't. Above them, the air is alive with color. Bottles cut, inverted, and painted in candy hues hang from twine like floating lanterns. Flowers pour from them, petunias, trailing lobelia, maybe even a string of pearls. They don't just decorate the air, they anchor with joy. The scene is silly, sweet, and unexpectedly moving, because in this garden, there's no pressure for perfection, just repurposed delight. The piggies bring humor, the flowers bring light, and together they create a corner that makes the heart tilt a little sideways. To make it yourself is an invitation to play. Grab bottles, paint with no fear. Let the mistakes become character. Let the colors be loud. Tie up your blooms above, and give your piggies a parade route below. Let them march. Let them bloom. Let your backyard be a place where whimsy finds its way home, one pink snout at a time. Beneath the garden fence, in that quiet strip of soil where herbs breathe and sunlight puddles in warm patches, a parade begins. Not of people or petals, but of cats, blue cats, yellow cats, red and polka-dotted cats. Each one still shaped faintly like the bottle it used to be, but now alive with personality and purpose. Their faces are hand-drawn, some wide-eyed and curious, others sleepy and smug. Painted whiskers stretch across smooth plastic cheeks and pointed ears, sometimes cardboard, sometimes cut from more bottle. Stand tall with mischief. From their backs, small plants sprout. Thyme, succulents, even shy marigolds trying to bloom. The cats don't move, but they don't need to. They lounge along brick paths and pebbled borders like guardians of the green. One watches over the rosemary. Another rests near the mint. Together, they turn a simple stretch of garden into a gallery of joy. What makes them magic isn't the perfection of their lines or the neatness of the paint. It's the feeling that someone made them with a smile, that the process mattered as much as the product. A moment of craft, a bottle rescued, a character born. And when the wind moves the leaves around them, the cats seem to settle in even more, tailless but satisfied, blooming in their own way. To make your own is to join the parade. Find a bottle, cut it low, draw a face, plant a hope, and place it somewhere quiet where someone might stumble upon it and grin. Because a cat, especially one made from trash and love, never just sits. It softens the edges of a garden. It purrs without sound, just past the rows of basil and kale, where the garden narrows into something more personal. A gate stands quietly open, and beside it, a goat waits. Not one that bleats or munches on straw, but one made from an old plastic bottle, polka-dotted and charming, with horns that curl like cinnamon bark. He's the greeter of this backyard farm. With a painted smile and big round eyes, he leans toward visitors as if to say, "Welcome, come in. The garden's full of secrets." His body is shaped from a jug, sturdy and soft-edged, the kind used for detergent or milk. His legs may be hidden behind stones, or made from twisted wire, or even just nestled into the mulch. Horns rise from his crown, maybe pipe cleaners, maybe coiled cardboard. His ears flap slightly in the breeze, and someone has painted tiny cloven hooves beneath him. It's not his realism that draws you, it's his spirit. He feels like a character from a folk tale, a guardian of tomatoes, a companion to the sage. The kind of presence that reminds you gardening is not just labor, but play. And at his feet, a little wooden sign, Bottle Farm. Handwritten, slightly crooked. Perfect. You could make one today. Find a jug. Cut shapes. Paint without planning. Add dots. Add horns. Give him a name. Let him stand watch over your greens. Not as a sculpture, but as a friend, because every garden deserves a little gatekeeper, one made of whimsy, of reuse, and of kindness. And when your hands are full of soil and the sun feels heavy, he'll still be there, silent, smiling, reminding you that the path to joy is sometimes shaped like a goat. There, between the lavender and the lilies, something peaks. A pair of painted eyes, wide, curious, a little mischievous. You move closer and find him, a tiny raccoon, not made of fur but of plastic, not wild, but still wonderfully out of place. A little creature born from a bottle and a moment of inspiration. His coat is layered from repurposed bottle strips, cut and curled to mimic the fluff of a real tail. Painted rings wrap around him in shades of smoky gray and soot black, and a thin white line traces the tip of his nose. He's crouched as if caught mid-adventure, halfway between sneaking and settling. He doesn't guard the garden. He observes it, watches bees land, stares at falling petals, listens to the rustle of weeds being pulled. Children point when they see him. Look, a raccoon! And though he doesn't move, he captures them, not with motion, but presence. He began as waste. A cracked soda bottle, maybe, fish from a bag meant for the landfill. But now, shaped by slow scissors and careful brush strokes, he feels alive, part guardian, part storyteller. This garden isn't a zoo. It's a gentle wild, and the raccoon adds a whisper of wilderness to its bloom. He's a visitor turned resident, a trickster who doesn't steal, but gives. If you make one, don't rush. Let the tail take shape. Let the eyes settle into their own character. Hide him in the shadows of the herbs or beneath the zinnias. He'll find his home there. And maybe on quiet evenings when the breeze is soft and the sky is lavender, he'll remind you. Even mischief can be tender, and even trash can carry wonder. Against a weathered brick, where moss gathers and sun dances in patches, a school of fish drifts, not through water, but through air. Suspended by wire and imagination, these bright swimmers are not made of scale and bone, but plastic bottles and garden dreams. Each one is its own little character. A red fish with a goofy grin, a yellow one with googly eyes, a blue fish, soft and serene. Their tails fan out, cut from scrap plastic or foil, curling slightly as if mid-swim. Small flowers and trailing greens bloom from their backs like whimsical fins. The effect is as if a breeze had carried the ocean here, just enough to leave behind a handful of floating friends. They hang in a row, shoulder to shoulder, just under a wooden awning or across the span of a fence. Below them, impatiens bloom in pink and coral. Above them, birds occasionally pause, tilting their heads at the spectacle. These fish are not silent. They speak without sound, telling stories of reuse and joy. They're part art, part joke, part practical planner. But more than that, they're proof that a garden can laugh. You can make one too. Find a bottle, paint it with bold strokes, cut out fins, glue on eyes, plant something light, hang it in a line with others, and suddenly you've got a school, not a fish, but a creativity. And when the wind stirs and they sway like slow swimmers in a dream, you'll feel it too, that magic, that quiet sense that gardens, like oceans, can hold more than life. They can hold wonder. High on a weathered shelf above the soil, a gentle parade of elephants marches in place. Quiet and dutiful, each one pouring life from its trunk. They are not carved from stone or sculpted from clay, but molded from yesterday's bottles. Their bodies are blue and curved, catching sunlight like stained glass, their snouts bowed toward the blossoms below. This is not just art, it's function made lovely. Each elephant is a bottle reborn, painted with care, its neck angled just enough to drip. The line of them forms a slow, steady irrigation system. No timers, no noise, just gravity and grace. One drip feeds basil, another waters pansies, a third quenches thirsty thyme. Their eyes are painted on, sometimes earnest, sometimes sleepy. Tiny ears flutter from the sides, cut from bottle scraps and glued with gentle fingers. In stillness, they sparkle. In motion, they nourish. There's something profoundly calming in their presence. They do not rush. They do not flood. They give water in teaspoons, in rhythm with the day. A child might call them garden guardians. An adult might simply call them clever. But both would pause to watch the shimmer waterfall like a tiny silver thread. To make them, you need only hands, paint, and patience. Cut with care, shape a trunk, hang them high above what you wish to bloom. Then step back and let the elephants do their quiet work. And as they water, they remind you, not all garden tools must hide. Some can smile, some can sparkle, some can turn the act of growing into a slow parade of kindness. Beside the pond, where lilies float like green moons and dragonflies trace the air with silver lines, a family is gathered. A bright yellow duck leads the way, proud, plump, and perfectly still. Behind her, 3 small ones follow, each with painted orange beaks and curious black eyes. But they are not made of feathers and fluff. They are born of bottles, reclaimed and transformed into gentle joy. Their bodies were once hollow, disposable, but now, with a coat of paint and a careful cut, they've been given new purpose. Floating lightly on the surface, or perched on the shore, just inches from the water's reach, they look as if they belong, content in their stillness, soft in their cheer. Children smile at them. A gardener passes, watering can in hand, and pauses to admire. The ducks say nothing. They simply exist, present and whimsical, bringing a splash of color to the green and blue around them. Each duck is different. One has a crooked smile. Another leans slightly as if caught mid-waddle. One wears a bottle cap like a hat. But that's the beauty of it. They're not meant to be perfect. They're meant to feel alive. To craft your own, gather old bottles, clean them well, paint them bright. Add eyes that look outward and wings that suggest movement even in rest. Set them loose near the water, or nestle them in the grass nearby. And as they watch the pond shimmer, they remind you joy doesn't have to quack or fly. Sometimes it floats quietly, gently bobbing on the edge of things, turning what was once waste into a family that simply glows. Along the edge of the path, where moss creeps between stones and flowers lean into morning light, a small and colorful parade begins, slow, quiet, and entirely unexpected. Snails, but not the kind that leave silver trails. These ones bloom. Each snail is made from a bottle, its body long and low, its shell curled from the cut and coiled sides of another. Painted in shades of blue, red, mint green, their faces hold a certain joy. 2 eyes lifted high on wire stems, goofy smiles drawn with child certainty. But the true surprise is what they carry, not shells but seedlings. Each snail's back cradles a tuft of green, basil, wild strawberry, creeping thyme. The plants spill gently over their sides, giving the illusion that the snails themselves are growing. They don't move, but they don't need to. Their charm is in their presence. A line of tiny planters, inching through the herb bed. A family, not biology, but of color and care. Visitors pause and look again. Children crouch. A gardener, watering nearby, smiles softly and says, "I should try that." Making them is an act of delight. Cut your bottle, form a curl, paint boldly. Attach 2 little eyes with glue and imagination. Add soil, tuck in something green, and set your snail loose among the blooms. Because even the slowest things in the garden can be full of life. Even a piece of plastic, reshaped with purpose, can become a companion to the flowers. These snails don't race. They rest. They hold small wonders. And they remind you, sometimes, The garden's magic isn't fast or loud. It's slow, playful, and planted with love. Tucked beside the daisies, gripping a bamboo stake like it's scaling a rocket, a squirrel prepares for liftoff. Or perhaps just garden duty. Not fur and paws, but plastic and polish. He's wearing a silver suit, one painted with love, and a bit of leftover metallic spray. His eyes are wide, as if searching for new frontiers, beyond the zinnias, past the time. This squirrel was born from a bottle, the kind that once held orange soda or dish soap. Now, shaped and trimmed, painted and pieced, he's become an explorer, part woodland critter, part backyard astronaut. His tail is magnificent. Coiled ribbons of clear plastic, puffed out like a comet's trail. He doesn't quite belong here, and that's what makes him perfect. Amid the rows of real vegetables and the quiet order of herb beds, he adds mischief, a touch of the absurd, a spark of childlike joy. He clings to a post, angled as if mid-leap. Around him, flowers bloom and bees pass by without pause. But he's not here for nectar. He's here for wonder. Crafting him is an invitation to play. Let your hands forget the rules. Cut wild shapes. Paint a little helmet. Give him boots if you like. Place him somewhere unexpected. Somewhere where guests might do a double-take and grin. Because every garden needs a little oddity, a whisper of nonsense, a character who reminds you that imagination has no limits, not in space, and certainly not in soil. And this squirrel, goofy and gleaming, tells us what all good gardens know. The earth is serious work, but joy grows wild. Near the blooms, just where the path turns to gravel and the wind smells like mint and warm soil, a dog keeps watch. Not barking, not bounding, just sitting, head tilted slightly, eyes full of paint and possibility. His body is an old bottle. His loyalty brand new. He's been painted blue today, though another might be brown or spotted like a terrier. His ears are soft curves of cardboard or cut plastic. His nose a dab of black. His tail curled with a playful flick. He stands beside the calendula, where bees hum in peace and no pest dares approach. Not while he's on duty. In his back grows a tuft of life. Parsley perhaps, or trailing nasturtium. It's his burden and his gift. He doesn't just sit still. He carries beauty. Children love him. Adults linger. The garden feels safer, or maybe just sillier, with him there. One dog becomes two, becomes a whole team of painted pups along the beds, each with its own name, its own grin. Making one is a slow smile. Take a bottle, cut gently, paint freely. Let the ears flap a little off kilter. Let the nose be too big. That's where the charm lives. Fill his back with soil, tuck in something green, and place him proudly where the flowers need a friend. Because sometimes a garden doesn't need a fence. It needs a guardian with googly eyes and painted paws. A reminder that loyalty can come from a bottle, and that even trash, when given the right job, can stand tall and watch the blossoms grow. At the threshold of the garden, where stepping stones begin and vines curl around with like whispers, a fox sits in wait, not to startle, but to smile. Not wild, though his orange coat glows like firelight. Not sleek, though his tail winds with a gentle curl. He is made of plastic, but full of presence. Once, he was an ordinary bottle, transparent, unremarkable, but a brushstroke of orange gave him purpose. A snip here for ears, a curl there for a tail, White paint softened his snout. 2 black dots became his knowing eyes. Now he sits beside the gate, not guarding, but inviting. His paws rest lightly on a crooked little sign, "Welcome," painted with a child's joy and a gardener's heart. Around him, the pansies bloom in bright echo of his fur, and the wind lifts the scent of rosemary toward his pointed nose. He doesn't move, but every guest feels his greeting. "Come in," he seems to say. "This place is tended, but not tamed. Here, creativity grows beside carrots. Here, a fox may watch the roses." Building him is less about precision and more about play. Paint a little Messier. Make the eyes just slightly uneven. That's where the soul sneaks in. Place him at the gate, the stairs, the first bend in the path, wherever a guest's eyes might land. Because every garden needs a story. And sometimes that story begins with a fox made from a bottle who waits quietly at the edge of your world, asking you to step inside and smile. Beneath the wooden beams, where vines stretch lazily and sunlight dances in patches, a chandelier blooms, not from crystal, but from bottles. They hang like lanterns, but softer, each one a soda bottle reborn, upside down and overflowing with life. Strands of jute cradle their necks. Some are painted with pale hues, sage, rose, cream. Others left clear to let the stems and roots shine through. Tassels dangle gently below, swaying like earrings in the breeze. The air is filled with color, not loud but vibrant. Petunias, lobelia, tiny fuchsias that peek through like shy confetti. It is here, beneath this canopy of blooms, that the garden feels like a dream, a space for tea and laughter, for quiet meals and soft music. The floating bottles don't just decorate the pergola, they transform it into a ceiling of petals, into a celebration of second chances. Each bottle began, as they often do, forgotten, emptied, and thrown aside. But someone paused. Someone saw a vessel, not for liquid, but for roots, for trailing green, for joy. A hole was cut, soil was added, seeds or starts were tucked gently in, and soon blooms fell downward like summer rain. It's a project not a necessity, but of romance, of beauty made practical and waste made welcome. If you make your own, don't rush. Choose your bottles with care. Paint them or don't. Tie them softly so they sway. Let the wind lift them. Let the flowers fall. Because sometimes the best thing a pergola can hold isn't shade or lights, but garden that floats above you, blooming from the sky. In a corner no wider than a broom's reach, a wall becomes a world. Not of brick or paint alone, but of animals, silent, smiling, sculpted from plastic. A bestiary, not penned in leather-bound pages, but in bottles. Here's a flamingo, pink and tall, its neck curled with charm. Below it, a plump penguin stares in tuxedo pride. A cat with pointy ears watches from a shelf, tail painted with slow strokes. And over there, a frog leans forward in permanent welcome, all made from bottles, all rescued, reshaped, remembered. This is not a gallery. It's a tiny yard's answer space, to joy, to expression when the soil runs out and the garden grows upward. Each creature holds a story, a child's brush, a gardener's pause, a moment where trash became character. Some double as planters, their backs holding basil or alyssum. Others are purely decorative, companions to the blooms. Together, they form a vertical zoo, friendly, colorful, and utterly enchanting. There is no grand design here. Just whimsy, just love. The wall hums with personality. A raccoon peeks from vines. A fox guards a flower hook. You don't need acres to build a world. Just a few feet of fence, a few bottles, a few afternoons. Build yours slow. Choose animals you love. Let their colors brighten the narrowest nook. And when you look at the wall again, when the light hits the plastic just right, you'll see it. Not waste, not clutter, but a chorus, a conversation. A reminder that life, even in a bottle, can smile back. Across the garden, where grass grows patchy and flowers lean with personality, a kingdom quietly comes to life. Not of royalty, but of creatures, each handmade, each reborn from what the world once threw away. There's a goat with bottle cap horns standing near the tomatoes, a hedgehog, shy and colorful, peeking from beneath the zinnias. A parade of flamingos strolls between flower beds, while a line of ducks drift along the pond's edge. Though they never touch water, only reflect it. A penguin oversees the kale. A raccoon hides near the compost bin. All made of plastic, all bursting with heart. This is not a curated zoo. It's a celebration. A patchwork of whimsy where each corner offers a new smile. Some animals are planters, their backs bursting with basil or blossoms. Others are simply watchers, sentinels of soil and joy. Together, they speak louder than the silence of waste. They weren't built in a day. They arrived slowly, one bottle, one idea, one free afternoon at a time. Painted with whimsy, not perfection. Placed with feeling, not formulas. Some wobble slightly in the wind. Some with the weather proudly. That's what makes them real. Children wander here with wonder. Adults pause with unexpected delight. It's not just a garden. It's a story told in color and craft. If you build your own kingdom, don't aim for order. Let it grow. Let it sprawl. Let each bottle become a voice. And when your yard fills with foxes, mice, owls, and goats, know that what you created isn't clutter, it's care. A bottle world, a garden kingdom, a place where imagination rules the land, and the only law is joy. In the hush of the garden's edge, beneath the trailing leaves and beside a sleepy stump, a village whispers into view. Tiny homes peek from between the ferns. Pastel pinks, soft greens, and sunflower yellows, each crafted from a bottle, but now beating with fairy heartbeats. These are not castles. They are cozy cottages, rounded and repurposed. The kind fairies choose for resting, for storytelling, for brushing wings dry after rain. The walls are painted gently, perhaps streaked slightly by weather. The windows are cut from dreams, or just careful scissor hands. Pebbles form walkways. Twigs become beams. Moss roof. No two homes are alike. One has a round bottle cap door with ivy painted around the frame. Another has a matchstick balcony and a tiny bell beside the entrance. One leans ever so slightly, as if it's been there for years, aging with the flowers around it. This corner of the garden was once bare, too shaded for vegetables, too tucked away for pots. But now it's a world, a place where stories bloom beside soil, where a child might leave a note, where grown-ups crouch and remember what wonder used to feel like. To create your own, choose bottles with curves and character. Let your hands wander. Paint without pressure. Add texture with bark, stone, string. Let the houses settle in the quiet corners where butterflies rest and time slows. Because every garden has its secrets, and every fairy needs a home. And sometimes all it takes is a bottle, a bit of whimsy, and the belief that beauty can live in the smallest of places. Along the trellis, where beans begin their climb in clematis curls toward the sun, dragonflies rest. Not real ones, though they might fool you at first glance, but creations born from bottles. Their wings shimmer with translucent color, soft as stained glass, cut thin and wide from flattened plastic, then brushed with hues that catch the light like dew. Each dragonfly is a poem. Their bodies are strung from bottlenecks and caps, glued and painted with care. Some wear a touch of gold, others lavender. Their antennae twist upward, fashioned from wire or garden twine, bent just slightly, like they're listening. They don't hum, they don't hover, but they live in the garden's rhythm all the same. Perched on trellises, fences, or even slender bamboo stakes, they feel as though they've paused mid-flight, drawn to the stillness of leaves, the scent of herbs rising on warm air. What began as waste, bottles tossed aside, plastic ignored, has become a flock of quiet beauty. Not loud, not elaborate, just enough to make someone stop, enough to make someone smile. To craft them, you don't need a blueprint, just a clean bottle, a pair of scissors, a brush, a moment. Let the wings shape themselves. Let the body curve as it will. Fix them to the trellis, one at a time, and watch the shadows they cast on sunny afternoons. Because dragonflies in the garden are always welcome. And when they're made by hand, from hands that believe in reimagining, in reusing, in play, they become more than decoration. They become a message. That beauty can perch anywhere, even on plastic, even on a vine,